Hi class, welcome to week 4 of Social Work 641. This week we're going to talk about introductions to not-for-profits, which is sort of what we touched on, and the reason I kind of got into the conversation of the sort of dynamics of not-for-profits and the players involved with the boards of directors, staff, and an executive director, because this week we're going to get into the sort of definitions of what a not-for-profit is. I did mention in our conversations, and we talked about it a little bit, it's a organization specifically formed for purposes other than operating for a profit-seeking business. So, a not-for-profit corporation is a type of organization where under the IRS tax code, they're tracked as 501c corporations, and so that primarily with us is a 501c3. But sometimes, if you get into the lobbying and advocacy work, you will hear the term 501c4 because those dollars can be freed up to allow for staff of a charitable organization to be able to lobby more than the allowed 20% under 501c3 status. It's a different set of dollars that's set aside in a discretionary fund. So the name not-for-profit just implies that you won't turn a profit per se, but you actually do. Have revenue-driven programs. In some cases, if you do private practice or do therapeutic work where it's a paid scenario. And that's a little bit different than a charitable organization, but some of you want to go that route. So I just wanted to know that there are some places in social work where it is revenue-driven. Hospitals are revenue-driven, but they are also not-for-profits. And so that's also sometimes confusing for folks, but many times connected to a university, and universities are charitable organizations or not-for-profit. So we're going to talk about that in the soft chalk. You're going to work through some pieces on that and sort of hopefully process what we talked about on the synchronous session calls last week. You'll get into agency values, culture, diversity, and climate, and that has a whole lot to do with the McKinsey tool that you'll use in terms of measuring cultural competency within an agency. What you do or don't see in terms of diversity within the agency, you're going to look at with your community-based organization you've selected. And then, of course, the climate. Is it well run, or the things that might be done better, or suggestions for positive change, or if they connected the dots a little better in one area, they might have a better service delivery system to a client. Things like this you want to sort of pay attention to. You will have, I think some of you already have done this, but your first community-based organization meeting with your team, you do not have to record the meetings where you have an agenda and minutes that you'll collect and post in the wiki under the groups feature according to your group. The time you will need to record is the last session when you do your 10-minute presentation and proposal to the pretend board that we will be on the other end when I download those recordings. When you go to do those recordings, I'll need to know when that is to be able to go in and change your status from participant to moderator. Again, sometimes technology isn't the brightest, and for some reason I can't put you in that position any other way than me entering the room for just a minute to turn you on. And then I'll exit the room and you all can go to work with your recording. So that's it. I think that was the only few things that came up after our session in terms of just technology and things like that. The soft chalk seems to have come through pretty well for week 3, so I think we're on a roll now with that. Just remembering, it doesn't remember you visiting, so if you go in and out, cut and paste your answers into sort of a Word document or something along those lines to make sure you have your information when you do a final submission. So with that, I'm leaving town tomorrow, so on the aircraft I probably won't be able to get back to you on emails or things like that until tomorrow evening. But I hope you have a great week, and we're moving closer and closer toward the leadership paper and the CBO paper being due in June. And June is starting this coming Friday. So I just want to make sure everyone's got that on their radar, that things are going to, you need to be moving on those so that you just don't get overwhelmed if they creep up on you. Okay, with that, again, sort of the premise of this class, a lot of it is for you to manage a lot of things that are building over time and how you manage that individually and how you want to challenge yourself and look at yourself as a leader with the Leadership Project, and setting personal benchmarks and goals for yourself after you've assessed things within this course. Okay, so I hope you all have a great week, and I hope you're enjoying the warm weather. Thanks.